everybody, my name is Kewl and welcome back to another video. Today, in this one, is going to be my complete in-depth guide on the new Kewl / Killer Toon archetype that will be released in Phantom Revengers in early December. Yeah, as you can see with the time of the video, it's kind of a super long video, so there will be timestamps in the description down below to kind of help you skip towards what you kind of want to watch with this video. At the beginning, we'll be doing a card analysis of every card in the archetypes. This is for people who don't know what the cards do but want to understand what they do. That's what that early portion of the video will be about. After that, we'll be talking about a deck list covering the advantages, the disadvantages, the ratios, and kind of some niche rulings to go with it as well. And then we'll be ending off with a lot of combos with the deck, a lot of 1 cards, 1.5 cards, and then doing some 5 card sample hands as well. But yeah, if you do enjoy this type of video, please leave a like on the video so let me know that to keep doing this in the future. And if you do enjoy my content on the channel, please consider subscribing to the channel as well. But without further ado though, let's get straight into the video. Alrighty, now on to the card analysis portion of the video here. Again, if you already know what the cards do, there will be timestamps in the link in the description down below to help you skip to the deck profile or combos that you're looking for. But again, this portion of the video is to help people that don't know what the archetype does. I will try to help them understand what the deck does. So if you don't know what it does, this is the portion of the video for you. So one more thing before we get into the card analysis. Killer Toon is technically the OCG name of these cards. I think the TCG name of these cards are going to be Kewl Toon, like Kewl. I'm going to pronounce it Killer Toon because 1, I think that's a better name, but 2, that's just what they're called in the Undueling book right now, so it's just a lot more easier to say Killer Toon. But just keep in mind that I think the TCG name is going to be Kewl Toon, so just keep that in mind for whenever the set comes out. So yeah, without further ado though, let's get into the card analysis here. So we'll start off with Killer Toon Clip, which is a level 2 Dark Thunder Tuner monster with 800 attack and 1000 defense. So I will say this, all the main deck monsters here have the same top effect, which is if this card on the field would be used as Synchro material, 1 tuner in your hand can be used as one of the other materials. So all of the main deck monsters have that top effect by technicality. Technically, it's not an effect, it's a condition. Now, that does matter, and I'll explain why that matters once we get into the deck profile properly. But just keep that in mind that by technicality, it's a condition, not an effect. So keep that in mind. But all the main deck monsters have this top condition effect there. So, and then Clip can only use each of the following effects once per turn. During your opponent's main phase, quick effect, you can special summon this card from your hand, then immediately after this effect resolves, you can Synchro summon 1 tuner. If this card is sent to the graveyard as Synchro material, you can banish 1 face down card from your opponent's extra deck. So, this is pretty much the turn 0 card for the archetype. A lot of new Yu-Gi-Oh archetypes are now getting the turn 0 play, like something like K9 has K9 Azuna, Dracotail has Dracotail Femina, and Killer Toon has Killer Toon Clip. This is basically the turn 0 play to help you play during your opponent's turn kind of thing here. So again, since it does have this condition here where you can use 1 tuner from your hand as a material for a Synchro summon, Clip by itself can actually get to a Synchro summon. You just have to special itself, and then as long as you use another tuner from hand, you can summon any of the Synchro monsters. Well, not any of them, but we'll get more into that later on. But again, just a turn 0 play that helps you play during your opponent's turn is very nice. Now, that bottom effect, when it's sent to the graveyard as Synchro material to banish 1 random face down card from your opponent's extra deck, that could be good, that could be bad. It really just depends on what you hit. You can hit like one of an important extra deck card. That could be insane, but if you hit fucking nothing, like let's say you just hit like a random IP or something like that, like it could just not do as much. So it's one of those things, depending on what you hit, could be a crazy effect, but if you hit literally nothing, then it doesn't really matter, right? So, yeah, that's really what that bottom effect there is. It could be really good, but you can also just do nothing as well. So that is Killer Toon Clip. Now on to the other level 2 monster in the deck, which is Killer Toon Mix, which is a level 2 Wind Warrior Tuner monster with 100 attack and 2000 effects. Again, it has the same top effect if it would be used as Synchro material. You can use 1 tuner from your hand as well. You can only use each of the following effects once per turn. If this card is normal or special summon, you can add a Killer Toon monster from your deck or graveyard to your hand, except a level 2 monster. And then if this card is sent to the graveyard as Synchro material, you can target 1 monster your opponent controls and destroy it. So pretty solid effect there. If it's normal or special summon, you get to add any Killer Toon monster. Now, you can't search a level 2. It makes it where you can't search itself or clip. You can search one of the level 3s that's right here if you want to, so that is something there. And then, if this card is sent to a graveyard as Synchro material, you can target an opponent's monster, or target a monster your opponent controls, and destroy it. Now, that's a really, really solid effect there. I think that's the reason why Mix is actually really solid for the archetype, is because when it's sent to the graveyard as Synchro material, it gets to pop a monster, which is very, very insane for the deck to have. So pretty good solid effects, not only as the normal or special summon effect is pretty solid, but the graveyard or the Synchro material effect also very solid for the card as well. Now on to the level 3s. We'll go with Killer Toon Kewl as our first level 3 we'll cover here, which is a level 3 light fairy tuner monster with 900 attack and 1900 defense. Again, has the same condition as all the other Killer Toons. If this card on field would you use a Synchro material, you can use another tuner from your hand as well. And then you can only use each of the following effects once per turn. If this card is normal summon, you can special summon one tuner monster from your hand, deck, or graveyard except for Killer Toon Kewl. Also, you cannot special summon for the rest of the turn except tuners. And then if this card is sent to the graveyard as Synchro material, you can activate the top 2 cards of your opponent's deck, banish one of the activated cards, also place the others on the top or bottom of the deck. So, this is a very, very insane card. So, on normal summon, you get to special summon any tuner in the game. Pretty much just Halka Fibrex, and that card is banned currently right now. But they kind of evened it out here because now after this effect resolves, you're locked into tuners for the rest of the turn. A very important thing to keep in mind. Halka Fibrex didn't have that fucking restriction, and that's the reason why it's currently banned. Even though Q is pretty much the same thing, it does lock you into tuners, so it does have some setback there as well. But you get to special summon any tuner in the game, which is very, very crazy. So depending on how you play the deck, you could be splashing a lot of stuff with this stuff as long as you can play under that tuner restriction. So a very good card. Now, that does not trigger on special summon. So if you special summon this by an effect, you won't get that effect. It only triggers on normal summon. So that is something to keep in mind as well. Now, again, the Synchro summon effect, or the Synchro material effect, to activate the top 2 cards of your opponent's deck, banish one and then place the other one on the top or the bottom of the deck. That's like all right. Like, depending on what you hit, it could be insane. It's kind of like Clip. Depending on what you hit, it could be insane, but it also could just like do absolutely nothing. But also being able to stack your opponent's deck and knowing what they're going to draw for turn could also be insane as well. But obviously, the first effect here, the normal summon effect, is the reason why this card is really insane for the archetype. So that is it for Killer Toon Kewl. Now on to Killer Toon Reco, which is a level 3 Fire Fiend tuner monster with 1500 attack and 800 defense. Now, again, has the same top of, effect here. If this card on field would be used as Synchro material, you can use a tuner in your hand as the other material. Again, all the Killer Toon main deck monsters have that, but just keep that in mind. And you can only use each of the following effects once per turn. If this card is normal or special summon, you can add a Killer Toon monster from your deck or graveyard to your hand, except a level 3 monster. And then if this card is sent to the graveyard as Synchro material, you can target one spell trap your opponent controls and destroy it. Now, that is pretty much the same thing as Mix. There's pretty much the opposite. Mix is able to search for a level 3 Killer Toon and then pop a monster, while Reco can search for a level 2 Killer Toon and then pop a spell trap for its graveyard Synchro. So it's pretty much the opposite of Mix. It has a like one more level than Mix, can search any Killer Toon except for a level 3, and then can pop a spell trap, while Mix is the opposite. It's a level 2, can search anything except for a level 2 Killer Toon, and can pop a monster on Synchro material as well. So very solid card there, pretty much just the opposite of Mix, but still a very solid card for the archetype as well. So that is it for the main deck monsters. Now on to the spell traps here. We have Killer Toon Synchro, which is a quick play spell card that reads as follows here. So you can add one Killer Toon card from your deck to your hand, except Killer Toon Synchro. Then immediately after this effect resolves, you can Synchro summon one tuner. For the rest of the turn after this card resolves, you cannot special summon except tuners, and you can only activate 2 Killer Toon Synchros per turn. A little bit of a wild card here. Not only is it pretty much just a Rhoda for the archetype, but it can help you dodge a lot of things, since it does immediately after the effect resolves, can Synchro summon as well, can help you dodge things like Imperm or Valor or something like that as well, and also can let you play during your opponent's turn if you need to as well. And You can activate 2 of these cards per turn. That's kind of a wild thing. Usually a lot of cards in the game just have a once per turn kind of thing. But this one has, you can activate 2 of them in a turn if you want to, which is kind of crazy to think about that that card has that. And this is able to search for any Killer Toon card. So you don't even have to search for a monster. You can search for any of the spell traps, except for itself, obviously. But you can search for any of the spell traps if you want to as well. A very, very crazy card. And since it's a quick play, you can actually like go draw phase, search for a monster to help you play around something like Droll and Lockbird as well. So a very solid card for the archetype. There's a mandatory 3 of, I would say. And then their field spell, Juke Joint Killer Toon, a field spell for the archetype that reads as follows. During your main phase, you can normal summon 1 tuner in addition to your normal summon set. You can only gain this effect once per turn. And then Killer Toon Loudness War you control gains 3,300 attack while your opponent has a tuner in their field or graveyard. Then its bottom effect here is you contribute 1 tuner monster, add to your hand, or special summon 1 Killer Toon monster from your deck. Also, you cannot special summon for the rest of the turn except tuners, and you only use this effect of Juke Joint Killer once per turn. So the field spell kind of a little bit crazy. Not only does it give you an additional normal summon to any tuner, so it doesn't even have to be the Killer Toon tuners. It can just be any tuner in the game, which is kind of crazy to think about. Again, it lets Killer Toon Loudest War you control gain 3,300 attack. Now it's this guy right here. It's what it's referring to right now. So if your opponent has a tuner in their graveyard or on their field, this guy just gets up to 3,300 attack, which is kind of crazy. Now it would sound like that's a little bit hard, but you have to consider most hand traps like Ash, Ghost Bell that's currently being played right now. Those are tuners, so it's actually it's pretty likely for them to have tuners in the deck. So that's actually not that bad of an effect for that card. You don't have to be versing a Synchro deck. If your opponent is playing Ash or Ghost Bell, those are tuners. If it's in the graveyard, all of a sudden, this guy becomes 3,300 attack, which is kind of crazy. And then the bottom effect here, being able to tribute a tuner monster, add to your hand, or special summon a Killer Toon monster from your deck is kind of crazy as well. Being able to like tribute a tuner on your field and then searching for Q and then going for an additional normal summon of its top effect to give you an additional normal summon can normal summon Q, and then Q can get its effect is kind of crazy as well. An overall solid little card that the archetype has here. And the trap card as well, Killer Toon Playlist, which is a normal trap card that reads as follows. You can target 1 Killer Toon monster on your field or in your graveyard. Apply these effects in sequence. Also, you cannot special summon for the rest of the turn after this card resolves except tuners. So you apply its effect that activates it when it's sent to the graveyard as Synchro material, then you return it to hand. You can only activate 2 Killer Toon Playlist per turn. So a very solid card. Not only does you get the Killer Toon Synchro's effect if you, let's say you target like Mix, not only do you get to pop a monster your opponent controls, but you get to add it back to hand, which pretty much lets you get follow-up, which is pretty insane as well. So just another pretty much interruption for the archetype is what this card is. You just get the bonus effects of the graveyard, or when they're sent to the graveyard, a Synchro material effect for the main deck monsters, and then add them back to hand, which lets you get follow-up as well. So a very, very solid trap card there. Now on to the extra deck. They have 4 Synchro monsters. We'll start off with the level 4 Killer Toon Track Maker, which is a level 4 light machine Synchro tuner monster with 0 attack and 2,500 defense. Now it does have the same condition here as the main deck monsters, where if this card on field would be used as Synchro material, you can use 1 tuner from your hand as the other material. You can only use each of the following effects of Killer Toon Track Maker once per turn. If this card is special summoned, you can add 1 Killer Toon card from your deck to your hand, which is insane. Just being able to search for any Killer Toon card is kind of crazy. And then if this card is sent to the graveyard as Synchro material, you can return 1 card your opponent controls to the hand, which is very insane to think about as well. So not only does this guy being able just to search anything in the archetype once he is special summoned onto the field, but its Synchro effect is kind of crazy as well. I would probably say it's probably the best Synchro material effect compared to all the effects, all the monsters that do have the Synchro material effect. This is probably the best one because you get to return a card your opponent controls. That's a non-target bounce, which is crazy to think about. That's really, really cool. There's a lot of things that can be, protected by card effect and stuff like that, and it can be protected from targeting effects. This card just bypasses both. Doesn't target, and it bounces the card back to the hand, which is very, very insane. So a very overall insane card for the archetype. Now on to the level 5s. They have 2 of them. We'll start off with Killer Toon Red Seal, which is a level 5 Dark Fiend Synchro Tuner monster with 1,700 attack and 2,400 defense. Its material here requires a Killer Tune Reco plus 1+ tuners. Forgot to mention makers of Synchro material, so we'll go back to that real quick. Requires a Killer Tune tuner plus 1 tuner, so just any of the main deck guys plus any other tuner will get you into this dude. While with Red Seal, you need specifically Reco and any other tuner to go into this card. It gains 300 attack for each tuner monsters in the graveyard, which is kind of insane because this all the deck is tuners, so this guy can get pretty big. And then the levels of monsters your opponent controls with 1700 or less original attack are increased by 1. Now that is a floodgate type of effect. Now that might not matter as much in like this current format we're currently in, but overall that could be good in some format. Let's say if we're in a format where Synchro is super heavy, right? Let's say like you versus White Force, being able to increase their level by 1 could fuck up their Synchro summons, which is very insane to think about. So that is like a floodgate that might not matter right now, but could matter in the future. So just remember that Red Seal has that effect. And its bottom effect here is during the main phase. Quick effect, you can banish 1 tuner from your graveyard, then target 1 face-up card your opponent controls, negate its effects until the end of the turn. So pretty much just an omni-negate, because it doesn't have to target a monster, it can target any card on the field. So it can target spell traps and stuff like that, which is insane. Now, obviously, it's not technically an omni-negate because the card has to be on field because it has to target the card. But it's pretty close, right? Because a lot of things do activate on the field anyways, but there's certain things like Nibiru, the Primal Being, that activates in hand and stuff like that this won't be able to negate because obviously it has to target something on the field. But overall, still an insane card effect there. To be able to negate any face-up card on the field is kind of insane. So yeah, very insane card there. So now we'll go into the other level 5, which is Killer Tune Remix, which is a level 5 Dark Warrior Synchro tuner monster with 1500 attack and 2000 defense. Its materials requires a Killer Tune Mix plus 1 tuner monster. Gains 1500 attack while your opponent has a tuner on their field or in their graveyard. Again, you might not think that's as likely, but again, there's a lot of hand traps in the game that are tuners. So if they're on those hand traps, this is more likely to get that 1500 attack gain, right? And then during your opponent's turn, quick effect, you contribute this card. Take 2 non-synchro tuner monsters from your graveyard, add 1 of them to your hand, and if you do special the other one, then immediately after this effect resolves, you can synchro summon 1 tuner. You can only use this effect of Killer Tune Remix once per turn. So basically, this helps you just synchro summon during your opponent's turn, right? Because you'll just target 2 guys, or 2 non-synchros. You can't target any synchros, but you can target any or 2 like Killer Tune tuners in the graveyard. You special 1, add the other to hand. Now, again, since they do have the condition where you can use a tuner in your hand as synchro material, that pretty much just sets you up for a synchro summon. Now, you don't have to do it. It is an optional synchro summon effect, which could matter in certain scenarios, but it just helps you get just ways to play during your opponent's turn, which is very nice. So a solid little card there as well. And then last synchro here is Killer Tune Loudness Roar, which is a level 6 light machine tuner monster with 0 attack and 3000 defense. Requires 1 tuner plus 1+ tuners. Other tuners you control cannot be destroyed by card effects. Also, your opponent cannot target them with card effects, which is insane. So it basically protects all your other tuners on the field. Now, it doesn't protect itself, unfortunately, but it does make it where it protects the other tuners. And if I'm not mistaken, if you have 2 of these on the field, then they both protect each other. So that's pretty nice to think about as well. But its effect here is when your opponent activates a card or effect, quick effect, you can banish 1 Killer Tune monster from your graveyard. Apply its effect that activates if it's sent to the graveyard as synchro material. You can only use this effect once per turn. So basically the same thing as kind of like the trap card does, where you basically target one of the guys in the graveyard and copy their graveyard or their synchro material effect in the graveyard. So if you target Mix, you could pop a monster. You target Reco, you could pop a spell trap. Let's say Maker's in the graveyard. If you target Maker, you can bounce a card your opponent controls as well, because it targets any Killer Tune monster in your graveyard. So as long as the tracker Maker is in the grave, you're perfectly fine. So overall solid card, and obviously if you have the field spell, it can go up to 3300 as well. So very solid card there. So that is going to be it for the card analysis portion of the video here. Now let's get into the deck profile, shall we? Alrighty, now on to the deck profile itself here. Now, a disclaimer before we get into the deck profile. Usually with these in-depth guides, these first little deck profiles I usually spend about 10 to 12 minutes talking about the deck. I think with Killer Tune specifically, I'm going to spend a little bit more time talking about the deck because not only do I want to talk about the deck profile or the advantages, I also want to talk about the disadvantages that the deck has. It does have a little bit, and once we start getting into the deck profile, I'll start talking about the disadvantages, but this deck does have quite a lot of disadvantages, and this is an in-depth guide. Not only do I want to make sure you guys know the advantages with the deck, I want to make sure you guys know the disadvantages with the deck as well, because if you're looking at this video trying to buy the Killer Toon deck and seeing if it's like really good for you or if it's not, I want to make sure you know the disadvantages going in before you buy these cards. So I just want to keep that as a disclaimer. This actually might be a little bit longer portion of the video. I usually spend 10 to 12 minutes talking about it. It might be a little bit longer because I do want to talk a lot about this deck, especially since usually with these in-depth guides, I like to talk about like splashability, being able to splash other archetypes in the deck and stuff like that. With Killer Toon, that's actually not as easy as you think it is. And we'll, again, explain more once we get into the deck profile itself. But in today's in-depth guide, there won't be any other deck profile we'll be looking at. We'll be just looking at a pure deck list, and that is it. So just keep that in mind going into it. But enough explaining now, let's get into the deck profile properly. So as you can see, with the Killer Toon names, we're pretty much just maxing out on every single name in the deck here. We're on 3 Clip, we're on 3 Mix, we're on 3 Kewl, and we're on 3 Reco, and then we're on 3 Killer Toon Synchro, 2 Field Spell, 1 Trap, and then we're on pretty much 2 of each Synchro monster in the extra deck as well. So pretty much the reason why we're maxing out on pretty much all the names here is because there really isn't that many names to go around in the deck. Only having 12 monsters in the deck doesn't, like, it's still consistent enough, but it's not as consistent as you want it to be, especially since something like Clip doesn't do anything by itself. This is your turn 0 play. Now, you're still going to play 3 of it because it's still really solid and you want to draw this, especially once you're going second to help you play during your opponent's turn. But Killer Toon Clip by itself doesn't help you do any combo. And once we get into the combos, you'll quickly realize that Mix and Reco doesn't necessarily do the combo by itself as well. There are certain things you could do with the cards, but by technicality, if you just draw Mix by itself or just draw Reco by itself, there really isn't as much things as you can do because the main normal summon with the deck is Killer Toon Q. This is the card you want to normal summon. This is the best normal summon in the deck that you absolutely want to normal summon because it only triggers its effect on normal summon. Now, you can get 2 normal summons thanks to the field spell, and which is the reason why we are playing the field spell, but it is important to know that Q by itself is pretty much the entire combo. With something like Mix and Reco, you kind of need other stuff to go with it, while Q by itself is a true 1-card combo for the deck. This card, again, is insane, but the problem with the deck, or the problem with the card, is it locks you into tuners. Even though it's able to special summon any tuner from hand, deck, or graveyard, it does lock you into tuners for the rest of the turn, which is one of the disadvantages that the deck has right now, is its lock makes it where it's kind of super hard to splash it into other decks because you get locked into tuners. Now, I'll explain a little bit more why that is a problem once we get to the Synchro monsters, but that is somewhat of a problem. It makes it hard to splash because you do get locked into tuners. Now, you might be asking yourself, well, maybe if you're trying to splash the deck, just don't play Q because Q will just lock you into tuners. Like I just said, Mix and Reco doesn't necessarily do the combo how you want to do the combo. It's Q that's the main important like 1-card combo, while mixing Reco, you kind of need other stuff to go with it. So that's kind of one of the disadvantages that it currently has, is not only does Q lock you into tuners, but Killer Toon Synchro locks you into tuners, and then I think Maker... I know the deck has one more thing that locks you into tuners. I forget which one it is, though. Is it this one? No, it's the Trap. It's the Trap. The Trap also locks you. And also the Field Spell also locks you if you use the bottom effect as well. So that's kind of one of the restrictions that the deck currently has, is that tuner lock does matter quite a bit. So keep that in mind as a kind of a disadvantage for the deck here. But that we're maxing out on all the names. We're also playing Red Nova. We're only playing one of it. This is a card that you might have seen get bought out, maybe like once these cards got revealed, that you might have saw got bought out. The reason why it did get bought out is because its top effect here doesn't necessarily matter. It can special itself if a level 8 or higher Dragon Synchro monster is on the field. That effect doesn't matter. It's the bottom effect here that matters. If this card is sent to the graveyard as a Synchro material that uses 2 or more tuner monsters as material, you can special summon 1 Fire Fiend monster from your deck in defense position. Now, Reco is the Fire Fiend that you will be special summoning off of this combo. So basically, you go normal summon Q effect, summon out Red Nova, and Q go into Track Maker, and then Nova will summon out Reco. So it's just like another way to keep extending bodies off of this. And the reason why Q is very, very broken, because it can special any tuner in the game. Red Nova is a tuner, which is very insane. So this is the reason why Red Nova's in the deck, because it's really good to do a 1-card combo with Killer Tune Q. Now on to like other spell traps that we're playing. Synchro Overtake, I think, is actually the only other spell that we're not playing that's not an in-archetype card. This card is insane because you can reveal one Synchro monster in your extra deck, choose one Synchro monster or Synchro material mentioned on it, and add it to your hand or special summon that monster from your deck or graveyard. Also, you cannot special summon for the extra deck for the rest of the turn you activate this card, except for Synchro monsters. You can only activate this card once per turn. So basically, since Red Seal and Remix both mention, well, Remix will mention Mix, and then Red Seal mentioned Reco, you can play Synchro Overtake, reveal one of those Synchros, and then special summon. It makes it where Synchro Overtake is also a true 1-card combo, because if you reveal Remix, you special Mix. Mix effect will search for Q. You haven't normal summoned yet. Q is now a normal summon that lets you do full combo. So you're playing 3 of this card because it's not only an extender, which does matter in this deck quite a lot, but it's just a very insane card. It helps you do 1-card combo, and it's also an extension portion of the deck. Again, we're on 3 Killer Tune Synchro. I am playing 2 Field Spell. This is a little diverse. Some people might be on one of this card. I've seen some lists not even play this card, but I think this card is somewhat important to the deck because, like I said, Mix doesn't necessarily do the combo by itself, like how you want to do the combo. Like Q does full combo by itself, but while Mix and Reco, you kind of need other stuff to go with it. Same thing with Clip as well. So the Field Spell just helps you get to something like Q into the deck because it gives you the additional normal summon, which does matter a lot, but it can contribute a tuner and then add to your hand or spell summon a Killer Tune monster from your deck. So I think this card is actually not as bad as people think it is. Now, I can still see the argument of maybe only playing 1 of this Field Spell. I am playing 2 to kind of just help us be a little bit more consistent, but this is something you could switch the ratios on if you want to. And then I'm playing 1 Killer Tune playlist as well. This is only, you only necessarily need 1 of this, even though you can activate 2 of this per turn. You don't necessarily want to draw this card at all because it doesn't help you do combo or anything like that. This is just an interruption piece for the deck that you'll search through something like Maker if you want, or even like the Synchro, Killer 2 Synchro if you want as well. So you only necessarily need 1 of this card. You don't need to max out on this card. So that is it for the deck itself, or the engine parts of the deck. Now onto the non-engine. So the cool thing about this deck, and I think one of the advantages to go with it, is your hand traps can help you combo, which is very, very cool because they're conditioned here that you can use 1 other tuner in your hand as synchro material. Makes it doesn't have to be a Killer Tune tuner. It can be any tuner in the game. So your non-engine, you kind of want to make sure they are tuners. So like Ash Blossom is a tuner, so it helps you do combo, right? Same thing with Ghost Bells. Same thing with Effect Veilers. Same thing why we're playing Ghost Mourner is because it's a tuner. So even going first, you can just use 1 of your hand traps to help you do your combo, which is very nice to think about. And that's why we're playing Delta and Gamma as well, because they're just tuners. Even if you draw it turn 1, it doesn't matter because the monsters, he'll just synchro summon them from the hand. So that's why the non-engine here is kind of just all monsters that end up being tuners. Now, obviously, we're playing Fua as well, but that's just because Fua is probably one of the best going second cards in the game. So I think, even though it's not a tuner, I think it's still pretty important to play. But the rest of your non-engine is pretty much just tuners. That's why I'm not playing something like Imperm or anything like that. Because it's kind of, the advantage of it is you can use your tuner hand traps as synchro material if you need to, which is very nice. Especially Delta and Gamma, being able to play this is very insane to think about. I really do love that you can play this in here. Obviously, you have to play the 1-up brick in Driver, but this is something you could play in the deck. So that's the reason why most of our non-engine are just tuner hand traps to help you facilitate combos with your Killer Tune monsters as well. Now, I want to go back to the one note I made with the card analysis portion of the video, where I told you the top effect here, by technicality, it's a condition, not an effect. The reason why that matters is because things like Infinite Impermanence, Effect Veiler, or Skill Drain cannot negate that effect. Even if they imperm this, like let's say you go like normal summon Q effect attempt to special summon, right? If they go imperm or Effect Veiler on this card, even though by technicalities its effects are negated, that condition still applies. So even though the effects are negated, you can still use a tuner monster from your hand to help you synchro summon. So even though if any of these guys get negated, it will not matter because you can still use that top effect, even because it's a condition for some reason. I cannot explain to you why that is the case. It's just ruled like that, that things like the imperm skill drain or effect veiler will not negate that condition or negate the top effect, because for some reason, it's a condition, not an effect, and things like Imperm or Veiler cannot negate condition effects. I don't know why it's like that, and you might be thinking, like I was thinking, that something like Low, Prayers of the Voiceless Voice, this card right here, kind of acts similarly, but it's been ruled, if this card gets Impermed or Veilered, that top effect to help you makes it where that this card can be used as the entire tribute. For some reason, that effect gets negated, but for this, it doesn't get negated. I can't explain to you why that is the case, to be honest with you. Don't know why it's like that. I cannot give you an explanation, but the top effects cannot be negated by things like Effect Veiler, Imperm, or Skill Drain. So if someone tries to tell you otherwise, that's not how that works. I don't know why it works like that. It's just how these cards are ruled. There's a very old tech or cards that's been ruled like that, so it just applies to these guys. But that's something that is an advantage. Even if this thing gets Imperm, you can still use the condition effect, which is very insane to think about. So let me just exit out. So, this just annoys having that there. So that is it for the main deck. Now let's get into the extra deck. Sorry, I know I'm explaining a lot of things here. I apologize here. So, for the extra deck, we're on 2 of each name pretty much, and that's pretty much it. Yeah, so here comes the second disadvantage with the deck here. Since all of the monsters in the main deck here are tuners, or like, let's say Kewl can only special summon another tuner from deck, right? The problem with something like that makes it where you're pretty much locked out of 99% of the Synchro monsters in the game, because 99% of the Synchro monsters in the game require a non-tuner monster to go into that Synchro summon. There are very, very, very few cards in the game that require one tuner and then one other tuner. Like, let's say there's only a couple cards like that. There's obviously the Killer Tune monsters require one Killer Tune tuner and +1 tuners, and same thing with like Reco is a tuner, Mix is a tuner, so that applies to that as well. All these Synchros can use one tuner plus one other tuner to go into. The only other Synchro monsters in the game that I was able to find that does that is Visa Armatera. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly, which requires one tuner plus one light monster. Now, technically, that light monster can be a tuner if you want to as well, so that's perfectly fine. And then this Manadium Prime Heart card as well, which requires one tuner plus one light monster, which is kind of the same thing as this guy. Again, it can be a tuner if it wants to. It just needs to be a light monster to go into it. So that's kind of the problem the deck currently has right now. There's very few Synchro monsters in the game that require one tuner and then one other thing that's not a non-tuner. 99% of the Synchro monsters in the game require a non-tuner to go into. There's very few cards that don't require a non-tuner to go into. Again, like I just said, the Killer Tune cards, this Visas and the Manadium Prime Heart are really the only exceptions to that rule. So that's kind of the disadvantage again, because there's not that many Synchros you can go into with these cards, because again, the condition can only use a tuner from hand. It cannot use a non-tuner or anything like that. So that does matter quite a lot. And since the deck does lock you into tuners quite a bit, it makes it where you're even less Synchros you can use as well, because a lot of the tuner Synchro monsters, I think 100% of all the tuner Synchro monsters need non-tuners to go into. So that is kind of the problem with the deck. There's very few Synchros you can make currently right now, because there's not really any Synchros right now that also don't require a non-tuner. So that's a very important disadvantage that the deck currently has that in testing has been seeing quite a lot, is there's not that many Synchros you can actually make in the deck, because these conditions require you to use another tuner in your hand. And because a lot of these do lock you into tuners as well, it's hard to get into a non-tuner onto the field while you're currently locked into tuners, right? So another disadvantage to think about there. But again, we're on 2 of each name here. We're on the Vsauce Armatera and the Manadium Pryheart, because these are summonable in the deck as well. Now, I'm not playing reframing in the main deck. I'm just playing this, like, let's say, as like a side deck portion. Like once you know you're going first, you can side into reframing if you want to. But this is something you could do in the deck. I'm playing the Excel stuff, so Excel, Stardust, and Satellite Warrior, because just in case, let's say you resolve a Gamma somehow on your turn, like let's say you go like Synchro Overtake, they chain Fua, you chain Gamma, then you still have this because you're not locked into tuners at that point. You can make an Excel into Stardust into something. You can make Despotter if you want to. You can make Satellite Warrior. I'm playing just in case, just as like an interruption piece. But you can play like Despotter instead, which is currently in the side deck. Gen X Return 0 if you use like a Dark Tuner. Let's say you summon out like Mix. Or like, let's say you summon out Reco, search Clip, and then go normal summon Clip, go into a driver into Excel, bring back Clip, and go into a Gen X, which is just a negate, which is really insane to think about as well. That's the reason why these are in here, is just in case you resolve Gamma on your turn, or even Delta on your turn, you have this kind of like Synchro package you can go into if you want to as well. So that's the reason why it's in here. The Killer 2 monsters themselves will never make this, because again, Excel, Stardust, and Satellite Warrior all require a non-tuner. So, and again, these are all tuners in the deck, so that's very unlikely for it to happen. So that is just something to think about. It's only in here because of Delta and Gamma. And then we're on SP and Sky Crisis again. Very unlikely for you to summon these cards, because again, a lot of the deck does lock you into tuners, so there's something to think about. But it's just in here just in case you somehow are not locked and you can somehow make these cards, you can. But again, really the only important cards in the extra deck that are makeable is the Killer Toon Synchro monsters, Visa Armatera, and Manadium Primeheart is really the only summonable ones. And then obviously if you get Gamma or Driver off on your turn, you can summon these guys if you want to as well. So that's it for the pure deck profile. Another things I want to talk about with the deck. So we just talked about reframing. Again, I'm not main decking it. I'm more using it as once I know I'm going first, I'll side into reframing. This is what, if you summon the Visa Armatera on your turn, you can search for a counter trap, which is kind of solid because this is just an Omni Negate, which is just very insane. Nibiru the Primal Being. I want to talk about this card because this deck pretty much dies with that card. There's really no way to negate Nibiru the Primal Being. Yeah. That is a rough place to be in. This deck just kind of a hard place into Nibiru. There's nothing that can really negate Nibiru, because this guy is your negate, but can only negate cards on the field, while Nibiru activates in the hand. So that's another thing to think about, is you kind of have to play a little bit lower to the ground to make sure you don't die to Nibiru, because Nibiru will just end your turn. Nibiru is just that powerful against this archetype, so it is something you do have to worry about when playing this archetype. Ghost Org is just another hand trap you could, by technicality, be playing. It's a tuner, or it's a tuner hand trap that you could be playing. I'm not playing it currently because Ghost Orc isn't really the greatest in this format right now, but just something to think about. You can go like normal summon Killer Toon Q effect, summon out Ghost Orc and Snow Rabbit, and just keep Ghost Orc on the field, because Q doesn't negate the effect. And then Ghost Orc and Snow Rabbit can activate on field as well. It can send itself from hand or field to the graveyard to activate its effect. So that is just something to think about. So that's why I put it in here. Hoppier Squadron, I really want to like this card a lot. I really do love this card. But it is something to think about once it comes to Killer Toons, because it helps you like kind of play during your opponent's turn, which is kind of nice. But Clip kind of does the same thing as this, and Clip does it better because Clip can use itself, or it can use a card from hand as synchro material, while Hoppier needs a card on field for it to be used as synchro material. So it's somewhat similar to Clip, but it is something to think about. I did see it, like this is something you could use, but I think Clip is just a little bit better. But I put it in the side deck just in case, if you want, just an idea you can use in the deck. Apple Dragon is kind of cool in the deck as well. This kind of is like, if you want to summon out like Red Nova, instead of Red Nova, you can summon out like Apple Dragon off of Q, which is kind of cool because it can summon a token that can be treated as a tuner, but also is a non-tuner as well. So this is just like something you could do within the archetype. If you really want to get a non-tuner token on the field, Apple Dragon will help you get there, which is kind of okay to think about. But again, if you're already locked into tuners, then that Apple Dragon second effect will not matter, because even though the token can be treated as a tuner, it's not a tuner itself, so it can't be special summoned while you're locked into tuners. So that's something to think about. So other cards, I was thinking maybe you can splash into the archetype, but I somewhat tried out, but I'm like, it's not really there. Centurion is a thing you can think about as well with this deck. Again, since Q can summon any tuner in the game, there's something you could splash with it. But again, a lot of the Centurion Synchro monsters require non-tuners, which is somewhat of a problem to think about. But the thing about Centurion that's kind of cool is they have this card, a Terry, which can treat itself as a non-tuner. It's a tuner, so it plays around the lock of being locked into tuners because itself is a tuner, so that doesn't play into the lock whatsoever. But itself can be used as non-tuner. If this card is you control would be used as secret material, you can treat it as a non-tuner, which is very important to think about. I think if there's a way to somehow splash a deck or something into this deck, it's Centurion because of this card specifically. I think that's the reason why it's kind of like that. But that's really the only good thing about this card. Like the second effect is like, okay, you can get a draw if you want to, but I don't really think it's necessarily the greatest. I think that just that top effect, if you really want to get a non-tuner onto the field, Atari is a way to do that. I was thinking about something like Crystron as well, being able to play something like Tristalos, and then just use Tristalo as interruption during your opponent's turn. Could be something to think about. Like, obviously, it doesn't do anything on your turn, especially since you're going to be locked into tuners anyways, but it's still something to think about as, like, just summon it during your turn and then during your opponent's turn. While you're not locked into tuners, you just do Tristalos to kind of help you get more interruption off of that. That's something to think about as well. The Resonator stuff could be cool, but in my opinion, if you're going to play Resonator, just play Resonator, to be honest with you. I don't really think you need Killer Tune to go with Resonator. I think Resonator by itself is good enough anyways. I think just play Resonator. If you're going to play Killer Tune Resonator, just play Resonator. Resonator is good enough by itself where it doesn't need Killer Tune to go with it. And same thing with Centurion. That's kind of another thing I was saying. Like, if you want to splash things into the archetype, that's cool. But to be honest with you, I think it's just better just to play Centurion by itself. And I think it, in my opinion, I think it's better to play Killer Tune by itself. I don't really think you need to splash this in anything. I like Clip. I think Clip is kind of cool. But yeah, that's just my opinion there, though. That's that honestly, just, if you're gonna play Centurion, just play Centurion Pure. If you're gonna play Crystron, just play Crystron Pure. If you're gonna play Resonator, just play Resonator Pure. If you're gonna play Killer Tune, just play Killer Tune Pure. You don't need to splash other stuff into this stuff. Duelist Genesis, this is a cool little spell card. If you have a tuner on your field or in your graveyard, you can add a Synchro spell trap from your deck to your hand. Now, you can search for Synchro Overtake, or you can search for Killer Tune Synchro. This has Synchro in its name, so Duelist Genesis can search for Killer Tune Synchro. Well, I'm not playing it because I think the deck has a little bit more consistency anyway, so I don't think this is necessary, but it is something to think about. Is that if you want like more ways into Overtake or into Killer Tune Synchro, you have a searcher in Duelist Genesis to search that. Despotter and Gen X Return Zero, we already talked about. If you don't want to play Satellite Warrior, you can play these cards instead. And then these cards are for the future, so they're not out currently, but in the future, once they are released, I think will be good in the Killer Tune archetype. Zarin, the Chainbound Dragon, I think is really cool. It's one of the few synchros, again, that requires one tuner and then one something else that isn't a non-tuner. In this case, it's one synchro monster, which isn't a problem for this deck. It can synchro its synchro material or synchro its synchro monsters pretty easily. So I think once this card comes out in, I think it's Burst Protocol in February, I think this is going to be a mainstay in this deck because you can synchro summon it because it doesn't require a non-tuner to go into. And then if this card would be used as synchro material, you can treat it as a non-tuner, which is really cool to think about. That's like really cool. I think once this card comes out, this is not only a mainstay for Killer Tune, but it helps you get access to other synchro monsters because it's a tuner, so it plays around like the tuner lock, but it can treat itself as a non-tuner, which is really cool. So something to think about with that. It also has a solid bottom effect when your opponent activates a card or effect. In response to a card or effect, you can quick effect, activate one of these effects, negate that effect, and if you do, destroy that card, or negate the effects of the card that was responded to, and if you do, destroy that card. It's just like a solid little negate. Now, obviously, chains matter. It has to be like something has to be responded to for this effect to matter, but that happens all the time in Yugioh, so that really isn't that much of a problem. I think this once this Synchro comes out, it's going to be a mandatory thing for Killer Tune. Overall, it's just insane card. It's a Synchro 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which you just use like a 5 and a 2 and you're chilling, or even the 4 and a 3. So it's actually not even that hard to make within the deck as well. Another thing I was thinking about is the new Crystron card. Crystron Halka Fibrex Prison requires 2 monsters, including a tuner, which again isn't hard. You're on all tuners, and it's a Link 3. If this card is, Link Summon, you can special summon one tuner monster from your extra deck in defense position with a lower level than equal to the total original levels of the monsters used as materials. So the reason why I was thinking this is good is because you can summon out Track Maker. As long as you used for the materials a level 4 or higher, you can summon out Track Maker, because Track Maker doesn't need to be synchro summoned for the effect. It just needs to be special summoned. So when you can special summon Maker off of Halka Fibrax here, and then Halka Fibrax doesn't negate its effects for some reason, so you can go Maker, search for a Killer Tune card, and then this can be like a little bridge for you to help get into, like, let's say once Halka Fibrax comes out, you can actually help splash other archetypes within it, because as long as you can make Prism, you can search for Track, and then Track Maker can search for any Killer Tune card, which can help you do Killer Tune combo after you've already done a certain combo before that. So I think this Hal card could be very insane once we get this Hal card to help splash other archetypes within the deck. Now, obviously, we don't have this card yet, and that's the reason why I think you can't really splash anything in this deck as of right now. But once we get Hulk, I think that is something you can do. Elf Notes is kind of cool. This is coming out in Burst Protocol as well. It's like, okay, again, in my opinion, if you're going to play Elf Notes, just play Elf Notes. You don't really need a splash killer tune in there. But this is something you can do, especially since this card is a Fiend Tuner. It can be summoned off of like something like Red Nova as well. But in my opinion, I think, again, if you're going to play Elf Notes, just play Elf Notes. And then if you're going to play Killer Tune, just play Killer Tune. And then this card was just revealed a couple days ago as well, Overtuning. If you control a tuner monster, you can special summon one tuner from your hand, deck, or graveyard. Also, you cannot special summon from the extra deck for the rest of the turn, except for Synchro monsters, obviously. It's kind of just the same thing as Synchro Overtake. It's just another way to keep extending afterwards, which this deck somewhat lacks because there really isn't any extenders in the archetype. So having another like extender like Overtuning with something like Synchro Overtake just gets you more extenders, which is pretty nice as well. And this is as long as you control a tuner, you can just special summon another tuner from your hand, deck, or graveyard, which is kind of insane to think about as well. So that was a lot of explaining. I can already see we're nearly at 30 minutes with this explanation. I do apologize there. But without further ado, though, let's get into the combos, shall we? Alrighty, now on to the combo portion of the video here. So today I'll be showing off 4 1-card combos with the deck, and then afterward I'll do 5 5-card sample hands with the deck. So without further ado, let's get straight into the combos. So the first one I'll be showing off here is going to be using Killer Tune Q. This is probably the best 1-card combo in the deck. So this combo is going to be showing off you playing around Nibiru, and then the next 1-card combo is going to be showing off if you just don't care about Nibiru. There isn't that much of a difference, but there's a little bit of a difference that I decided to split them off in their own combos here. So this first one will be showing off a 1-card combo with Q that plays around Nibiru, the Primal Being. So we'll go to standby main phase here. We'll go normal summon Killer Tune Q effect to go ahead and special out Red Nova. This is the reason why Red Nova is super important to the deck here. We'll synchro off Q and then Red Nova into ourselves the Killer Tune Track Maker. We'll go Track Maker Chainlink 1, Red Nova Chainlink 2, and then Q Chainlink 3 to look at the top 2 cards of your opponent's deck. Banish one and then put the other one on the top or the bottom of the deck there, just to help you chain block, play around hand traps and stuff like that. So you banish a card from the top of their deck and then, put the other one on the top or the bottom. You special summon out Reco off of Red Nova's effect here. And then Maker will go ahead and search for Killer Tune Synchro here. And then after this, we'll go Reco on a new chain to go ahead and search for a Killer Tune monster that's not a level 3. So we'll go ahead and search for Clip here. And then we'll go ahead. This is 4 summons here. So to play around Nibiru, we will just simply set 1 and pass on this. So yeah, this was 4 summons. This is why it plays around Nibiru, the Primal Being, because you just don't play into it whatsoever. So going to standby main phase here, we'll go ahead and do Killer Tune Synchro effect here to go ahead and add a Killer Tune card. We'll search for Mix, and then immediately after the effect resolves, we'll go ahead and Synchro summon. We'll Synchro summon using Reco and Mix to go ahead and summon out Killer Tune Red Seal. It requires a Reco and a 1 tuner, which ended up being the Mix there. So new chain will go Mix Chainlink 1 to pop a monster your opponent controls, and then Reco can pop a spell trap as well. That's more conditional. Like if you're versing something like Draco Tail, that could matter more. But that's a conditional kind of interruption. It really just depends on the deck you're playing. With the Mix, that can be against pretty much any deck. The target a face-up monster or target a monster your opponent controls and destroy it there. And then now you have Red Seal's effect, which is just an Omni Negate by banishing a tuner and targeting a face-up card your opponent controls and negating it. So we banish just Q here is probably fine. And then now you still have Clip effect to go Clip special itself to go ahead and then Synchro Summon using Maker and Clip to go ahead and summon out Loudness War here. New chain, you'll go Maker Chainlink 1, Clip Chainlink 2 to banish just a random card from your opponent's extra deck off of Clip, and then Maker gets just to bounce a card your opponent controls as well, which is pretty nice. It doesn't target, which is pretty important to that as well. And then you have Roar effect here to banish just any Killer Toon monster in your graveyard and apply its effect that if it was sent to the graveyard as Synchro material. In this case, we'll bounce or banish Maker, so we have another way to bounce a card. You can banish Reco if Spell Trap matters more, if you want to pop a monster, or Mix matters more as well. But Maker is just an overall, it can bounce any card, so I decided to banish Maker there. So that is it for your interruption pieces there. So off of just the one card of Q, you got a Omni Negate off of Red Seal. You got a Loudness Roar, which can do anything based off whatever you banish. But in this case, we banished Maker, so it was a bounce. You have Maker's effect because we used it as Synchro material, so that's another bounce. So that's the third interruption. You had Mix, which was a fourth interruption because it was a pop as well. You had Reco, which was technically a fifth interruption if that Spell Trap matters, but you know that's a half interruption. Clip banished an opponent's card from their extra deck, so depending on what you hit, that could matter as well. But if we're just going off of simple things, by technicality, it's like 4.5 interruptions there. Because again, depending on the matchup, Reco could be an interruption, but also could not be an interruption. It's very much dependent on that. So basically, just off of this one card and playing around Nibiru, you got 4.5 interruptions off of that, plus an extra deck banish as well, which matters a lot. So that was it for that one card combo. Now let's get into the next one card combo. Alrighty, the next combo, again, is going to be involving the Killer Toon Q. I'm just starting off with Killer Toon Synchro to show off that Synchro can also just do a one-card combo by itself as well. But this one will just not respect Nibiru. It'll just say, fuck it, you don't have Nibiru. We're just going to play into Nibiru, the Primal Being. So, in the draw phase, you want to go Killer Toon Synchro just to play around something like Droll and Lockbird, so you don't have to worry about that. We'll search for Killer Toon 2 and then Q, and then Q effect in main phase to go ahead and special out Red Nova. Go ahead and make a Synchro Summon here into Track Maker, and the same thing, Track Maker Chainlink 1, Nova Chainlink 2, and then Q Chainlink 3 just to protect, but also you get to look at the top of their deck, right? We'll special out Reco off of the Nova, and then in this case, we'll search for Playlist, not Killer Toon Synchro, because we're going to be playing into Nibiru here. So now we'll go Reco effect to go ahead and search for Mix instead of searching for Clip, and then we'll Synchro off the Mix, and then the Reco on field to go ahead and go into Killer Toon Remix, and then we'll set 1 and pass. So a little bit of a different thing. This does play into Nibiru because Remix is your 5th summon, so if they have Nibiru, they'll just Nibiru you here. Kind of unfortunate, but again, if you're just disrespecting Nib, you can do it this way because this gives you a little bit more, I think one more interruption is what it gives you. So that does matter quite a lot there. So we'll go end phase and then go standby main phase. So whenever they start playing, you go Remix effect, tribute itself. We'll add Mix to hand here, and then we'll special out Reco, and then we get the Synchro Summon off the effect as well. So we use Maker and Mix to go ahead and make ourselves Loudness Roar. And then new chains here, we have Reco Chainlink 1 to search. We have Mix Chainlink 2 to pop a monster, and then a Maker Chainlink 3 to bounce a card your opponent controls as well. So we'll search out Clip off of Reco, and then you popped a monster and you bounced a card your opponent controls. So that's already 2 interruptions just off the one trigger of Remix there. And now we can go Clip effect here, special itself to the field, and then Synchro Summon. We'll Synchro Summon the Reco and the Clip to go ahead and make ourselves Killer Toon Red Seal. So this now changed Reco Chainlink 1 and then Clip Chainlink 2. If you want, again, Reco kind of a half interruption because, you know, depending on the matchup, it could matter. In other matchups, it could not matter, just really dependent there. And then Clip will banish a random card from your opponent's extra deck as well. And now you have the red seal as well here. I'm just switching positions here. Keeping an attack could be nice because you have a lot of tuners in grave, so that just very matters because it does gain 300 attack for each tuners in the graveyard. You still have the red seal effect here to banish just a tuner to go ahead and negate opponent's monster, or negate a card your opponent controls, which is pretty nice. And then you still have the loudness roar to banish, will banish Maker here to bounce whatever. So just another interruption off of loudness roar as well. And now you still have the trap, which can target Mix in graveyard. It will apply Mix's effect, so you'll pop another monster and it adds it back to hand, which gives you additional follow-up as well. So that's it for that combo. So playing into Nibiru gets you one more interruption, and it gets you follow-up because it gets to add Mix back to hand. So you still had the loudest roar, which is an interruption, depending on whatever you want to do, but it's still an interruption. You still had Red Seal, which was a negate. You still had Maker, which was a negate as well. You had Mix, which was a negate as well. You had the Killer Tune playlist, which is just another interruption as well with that. And then obviously you have the Reco, which is like a half interruption depending on what the matchup is. And you still had Clip to banish just a random card face down from your opponent's extra deck. Depending on what you hit, that could matter as well. So with this combo, you just got one more interruption because you got the trap off of that and just disrespecting Nibiru. And you get the follow-up off of Mix as well. So next turn, you still have ways to keep playing, right? So that is it for that one-card combo. Now let's get into the next one-card combo. Alrighty, next up for our one-card combos here is going to be using Synchro Overtake. So this is the reason why it's at 3 in the deck, because this by itself is a one-card combo. So let's get straight into it. So we'll go standby main phase here. We'll go into Synchro Overtake. We'll go ahead and reveal Remix here to go ahead and special mix from the deck here. And we'll go Mix Effect to go ahead and search for Q. And we haven't normal summoned yet, so now we can just normal summon Q. Q Effect to go ahead and special out Red Nova here. And now we'll go ahead and go into a Synchro Summon of Maker. Same chains here. We'll go Maker 1, Nova 2, and then Q Chainlink 3 to look at your opponent's deck. And then banish one, and then place one on the top of their bottom. Go Reco off of Red Nova, and then we'll still search the trap off of Maker here. And then new chain, Reco will trigger to go ahead and search for Killer Tune Clip. Now, if they Nibiru the Primal Being us here, you're still fine because you both have Killer Tune playlist and Clip to help you still play during your opponent's turn. Now, Reco was the 5th summon, so they can Nibiru you here if they want to, but again, you're fine with that because you have the trap, which gets you an interruption, and you still have Clip, which gets you more interruption. So you still have like ways to play. So if they do Nibiru you here, you still have ways to play. Now, it's still going to hurt, don't get me wrong, but you still have a way to keep playing after that. So that's perfectly fine with you if they Nibiru you here, since playlist can add the card it targets back to hand. So that is something to think about. But in this case, we'll just go ahead and synchro off into a remix here. We'll set the trap, and we'll simply just pass on that. So pretty much still the same interruptions as we had with the other one-card combo I showed off here, since we do have the trap. Go standby main, you got Remix, go ahead and special summon Reco, and then add back Mix, and then you can Synchro summon off the Remix effect. So we'll use Maker and Mix to go ahead and summon out Loudness Roar, or War, sorry, and then we'll go Reco effect to go ahead and search for a level 2, and then Chainlink 2 Mix, Chainlink 3 Maker there, which gets you 2 interruptions straight away there. I just search for Mix just for follow-up. Again, this can't search for another level 3, which is unfortunate, so that's kind of unfortunate, but then you're still fine with that. So now we'll go Clip effect here to special itself, and then Synchro off the Reco in the Clip to go ahead and make ourselves a Killer Tune Red Seal here, which is gets a Clip to banish a card, and then again Reco, depending on the matchup, if the spell trap pop matters, you can do it there. And then you still have the Red Seal to negate opponent's face-up card on the field. You still have Roar, which is just an interruption depending on what you banish it. Maker can always bounce a card till we banish Maker. And then we have the playlist here, can just target Mix, add it back to hand, and you're still chilling. It pops a card because it copies Mix's graveyard synchro effect, and it adds it back to hand and gets you additional follow-up as well. So that is it for that combo there. Again, pretty much the same interruption. You got Roar, which was a just any interruption depending on what you banish, but it's still an interruption. Red Seal, which is just a negate on field, which is pretty nice. You still had Mix, which was an interruption. You still had Maker, which was an interruption. You had the Trap, which was another interruption, and then obviously the Reco is that, half, depending on the matchup, could be an interruption as well. And then you banished a face-up, or banished an extra deck monster from your opponent's extra deck, so that could matter as well, depending on what you hit. So, same interruptions there, but still just off of one card is still insane, because Synchro Overtake is crazy. So that is it for that one card. Now let's get into our final one-card combo. Alrighty, for our final one card combo I want to show off today is not necessarily the greatest in the world, but I still want to show it off just to show you that Q is really the only best normal summon the deck has, or any way to Q, right? Like with Synchro Overtake, it still got to Q, right? And Q was able to keep playing, right? I wanted to show off with this one card combo, if it's not Q, if it's something like Reco or Mix, you can still technically do something, but it's not the greatest in the world. So by technicality, this can be Reco or Mix. It doesn't really matter what you start off with. Either one will still get you to the same combo. So I'll go standby main phase here. We'll go normal summon to Reco. Reco effect will search for Mix. Now, if you started with Mix, you'll just normal summon Mix and search for Reco instead. So again, either one you start off with, it will still do the same thing there. And then you'll go ahead and go into a Synchro of Remix and pass. That's really all you can do with this because you can't get to the Synchro 4 in Maker. Maker does do a lot, and the reason why it kind of sucks that these guys don't really do anything by themselves is because they can only get to Synchro 5s. Because this one can only search for a 2, and this one can only search for a 3. They can never really get to a Synchro 4 just off of this off of each other, which is very much a problem. So you kind of need another card to go with it. Like with Reco, if you draw Valor, you can still do it. With Mix, if you draw something like Gamma or the Delta, you can still do it as well. But if you can't get to the Synchro 4, this is pretty much the best way you can get to it, or the best way you can play is just make a Remix and pass. And then during their turn, you just go Remix effect, special out Reco, get a Mix here. And then you can just Synchro Summon if you want. Just go into the Synchro Summon of Red Seal. You have Mix Chainlink 1 and then Reco Chainlink 2 to pop a Spell Trap if that ends up mattering. And then you have the Negate off of Red Seal. So just off of that, by technicality, you have 2.5 interruptions because you have the Negate off of Red Seal. You have the Mix pop a monster. And then Reco is the half interruption depending on what the matchup is. Reco could be an interruption but also couldn't be an interruption. Again, really just dependent on what the matchup is, right? But again, not the greatest one-card combo, but I still wanted to show it off by saying that like Mix and Reco by technicality can still do something, but it's still not the greatest in the universe. So that's why I wanted to show off there. If you want to like do like a 2-card combo like Reco plus any level 1, so like Effect Valor, or if you hard draw like Red Nova, if you can get to the Synchro 4 that way, still does it. Same thing with Mix. If you draw like Gamma or Delta, again, just any way to the Synchro 4 can still pretty much do it as well. So that is going to be it for the 1-card combos. Now let's get into the 5-card sample hands. Alrighty, last second edition of 2 more combos. So these combos are going to be showing off basically 1.5 card combos kind of thing. So I'm going to be showing off Reco's combo to help you get to the level 4. So with Reco, you need to have Reco plus a level 1 tuner. This either could be Effect Valor or Red Nova, or if there's any other level 1 tuner that you're playing in the deck, you just need another level 1 tuner to help you do this combo. And then the next combo I'll show off is Mix with any level 2 tuner, either being Gamma, Delta, Clip, whatever. You just need another level 2 tuner to go with the Mix. But they both pretty much do the same thing. So I'll show off the Reco one first here. So we'll go standby main phase, normal summon Reco effect, search for Mix. Now instead of making the level 5 like we did with the 1-card combo with Reco, we'll go using the Valor and Reco, we'll go ahead and make ourselves the Maker. We'll go Maker effect, go ahead and search for Field Spell, and this is where Field Spell comes in play, because I think Field Spell is kind of a mandatory card. Maybe you only necessarily need to play it at 1, but I do think it's a card you do need to play in the main deck. We'll go activate the Joint Killer Tune here, and then extra normal summon Mix. Mix effect to go ahead and just search for Q here. It doesn't need to be Q, it just needs a level 3 tuner. You can search for another Reco if you want to, but we'll just simply go ahead and synchro both of these off into Remix here. And then with that, you'll just pass on that. This is enough interruption to go standby main phase. You'll go Remix effect to special out Reco and then add Mix to hand here. And then you'll go Synchro off using the remixes, resolving Remix's effect, using Maker and Mix to go ahead and make ourselves the Loudness Roar. And then new chain, we'll go Reco Chainlink 1, Maker Chainlink 2, and then Mix Chainlink 3. So you bounce a card, you pop a monster, and then this will Reco will search for Clip here. And then we'll go Roar effect. It can banish this Maker to bounce back another card, just another interruption. Clip effect special itself, and then synchro off the Reco and Clip to go ahead and make ourselves Red Seal here. And then new thing here, we'll go Reco 1, Clip 2. Again, if Reco has a spell trap it can pop, you do the Reco effect, and then Clip just banishes a face an extra deck card from your opponent's extra deck, and then Red Seal will negate a face-up card as well. So, you know, even though it's not the greatest in the world, it's still better than what the one card Reco one card combo does. As long as you draw another level 1, you can still do quite a lot with this, with Reco, as long as you draw a level 1 tuner to go with it. So that is it for the Reco 1 card, or Reco 1.5 card. Now let's get into the Mix 1.5 card combo, shall we? Alrighty, and then this one is going to be the Mix 1.5 card combo. All you need is Mix plus any other level 2 tuner. So Gamma, Delta, Clip, if you're playing any other level, and like Mix and Mix still does it as well. So if you draw 2 mixes, you can still do this combo as well. So that's all you really necessarily need with this combo. So go to main phase, Mix, we can normal summon Mix effect. Go ahead and search for Reco. Now you can search for Q as well if you want to, but the reason why I'm not going to show off the Q is because the Q kind of complicates the combo a little bit further. So I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to search Reco instead here, and I'll show you why that matters in 1 second here. And then we'll synchro off Gamma and Mix to go ahead and make Maker effect to go ahead and search for Field Spell once again here. And then we'll activate the field spell. Extra normal summon Reco. Now, if we search for Q, we can extra normal summon Q instead, and then special another tuner from deck here. But again, that kind of complicates the combo, and it doesn't necessarily do more than what Reco does. Like normal summoning Reco pretty much does the same thing as normal summoning Q. Q just makes it a little bit more complicated. So that's the reason why I did it with Reco instead of Q. But if you want to search for Q and do it that way, you can still do it if you want to. But we'll go ahead and search for Mix here, and then to synchro off the Mix and the Reco, and summon out the Killer Tune Remix here. And again, pretty much the same interruptions as the Reco and the level 1 combo did. Pretty much you'll just pass on this, stand by main, during their turn you just do Remix effect, tribute itself, special Reco, add Mix, and then synchro off the Maker and the Mix to go ahead and make yourself the Loudness Roar. And then now you go Reco effect, Chainlink 1, Maker, Chainlink 2, Mix, Chainlink 3. So you bounce a card, pop a monster, and you search for Clip off the Reco here. Then you have Roar to do another interruption. You have Clip special itself, synchro into the Red Seal using Reco. And then you have Clip 1, Reco 2. If obviously Reco has a spell trap it can pop, and then Clip is honestly can banish a extra deck card from your opponent's extra deck. And then you still have the Red Seal to go ahead and negate a card they control as well. So a last little additions to the combos there. I just wanted to show those off before we get into the 5-card sample hands. But now that I showed those off, now let's get into the 5-card sample hands, shall we? Alrighty, now on to the 5-card sample hands here. Again, I'll be showing off 5 of them in this video, just to give you an idea of what the deck can do. Again, I like to do these 5-card sample hands because, again, these are more realistic, because in games you're going to draw 5 cards for a turn. If you're going second, you'll draw 6. So it's a lot more realistic seeing these type of combos happen, seeing what the hands look like and stuff like that, compared to showing off the 1-card combos. It's still nice to know what the 1-card combos do, but again, in my opinion, I think the 5-card sample hands are a lot more realistic for you. That's why I like to show them off in these in-depth guides. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into the first 5-card sample hand. So we'll shuffle up the deck here, just 5 times, just shuffle as much as we can here, and then we'll draw 5 cards for turn. Already not off to a good start here. Okay, I mean, that's still something, I guess. Yeah, in draw phase, I guess we'll just go Killer Tune Synchro. Go ahead and get ourselves a Q to hand, which is perfectly fine. And then Q obviously just does the 1-card combo by itself, right? So we'll go normal summon Q effect to go ahead and special out the Red Nova from deck, wherever Red Nova is at. There he is. We'll go summon out Red Nova, go into a synchro summon of track Maker, and we'll go Maker Chainlink 1, Red Nova Chainlink 2, Q Chainlink 3. We'll look at the top 2, obviously. Obviously, this is just to show you off what the combo does, so that we're not versing an opponent. But we do get to special summon Reco from the deck here off of Red Nova. And then we already have the trap. I guess we just search for another Killer Tune Synchro, I'm assuming is probably fine. Yeah, that's probably fine. We already have the trap. So, and then Reco on a new chain, we'll go ahead and search. We already have Mix, so we'll just search for Clip here. It's probably fine. All right, we can keep going, to be honest with you. I just don't think it's worth it to keep going, to be honest with you, because we just have so many ways. We already have the trap. We can we can activate this just so it's like always live, right? We don't necessarily have to activate it straight away. Normal Summon Mix, what does Normal Summon Mix do? Like, if we get Q just for next turn, but that plays into Nibiru, which I don't like, but we have the trap and Clip, which is fine. I'm kind of just tempted just to pass, to be honest with you. I think just passing with me is probably fine. Just so we can play around Nibiru, because I don't really want to play into Nibiru if we don't have to, right? We can like normal summon mix, search for Q for follow-up for next turn, and then just synchro into, not remix, into seal, so we have it straight away. We don't have to synchro summon it during our opponent's turn. I guess we'll play it like that. I guess that's fine. We'll go normal summon, mix effect. Can we get the additional normal summon because of joint killer tune? Go ahead and get ourselves a where is it? I literally just said a Q. Where is Q at? There he is. We'll search for a Q for just follow up next turn, and then synchro into red seal, which is fine. So we just have the negate straight away. I'm going to put in attack because we have tuners engraved. We have 4 times 3 is 12, so he's at 2,900 attack. So yeah, probably better to put in an attack, right? And we'll just set these two, and we will pass on that. I think that's pretty good. Like, we probably could have made a Visa Amatera if we really wanted to there, because we had like a lot of tuners to go around, right? So if we really wanted to, we could have summoned this and get the counter trap, but obviously I'm not main decking the counter trap. So like inside of games, you could go for that if you want to instead. But since I'm not main decking it, I'm not going to like show you off, but that's something I could have done in that combo as well. Just make a Visa or Amatera, search for the Manadium counter trap, and now I have a counter trap to go on top of it, because you can always make red seal during your opponent's turn, so that's never like a problem, right? So with that, we'll just pass on that. Right, during standby main phase, you still have like a couple interruptions here. So you have the red seal straight away. So if you need to negate something straight away, red seal can just do it straight away. I think you just banish red nova is probably fine to negate the card, right? So that's one interruption. You obviously have a killer tune clip, special itself, and then you can synchro these two off to go ahead and make ourselves the loudness roar, which if they have a tuner engraved, you can actually put an attack, because this will make it gain 3,300 attack, right? Then you have the Maker Chainlink 1, Clip Chainlink 2, banish a random card from their extra deck. Maker will bounce a card your opponent controls as well. That's non-targeting, which is kind of crazy as well. And then you can still do Roar effect, banishing Maker, to go ahead and do the Maker effect once again. You have playlist targeting Mix here. You get to pop a monster your opponent controls and then add it back to hand here. You still have Killer Tune Synchro, which unfortunately doesn't do anything because of how I played it. It was really dumb. Maybe I shouldn't have done Clip Effect as early as I did. Maybe I should have done the Trap first. Maybe that could have been the correct way to do it. Yeah, that's probably the way to do it. I kind of misplayed, so I lose out on the second mix monster pop, which is kind of unfortunate. But this is still like fine, right? You still have Ghost Bell, which is kind of like the main thing about the deck I want to show off is since you're on a lot of hand traps, like the rest of your hand should be like hand traps, right? So like Ghost Bell, if I drew like, obviously this hand was just full of engine, right? Because I hard drew like the trap and field spell. So, but obviously hand traps go hard with this deck as well. And this is the reason why you don't necessarily need as many field spells as I'm playing. You only necessarily need one, because again, I didn't even use the bottom effect to tribute a tuner and special summon a killer tune. I just used the additional normal summon is all it really did. But again, pretty much the same combo. I kind of fucked it up there a little bit, but it's pretty much still the same thing there. Yeah, so that is it for that 5-card sample hand. Now let's get into the next 5-card sample hand. Alrighty, on to our next 5-card sample hand here. So we'll, again, just give the deck a little bit of a shuffle here. Shuffle, 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 and then draw 5 cards here. 2, 3, 4, 5. Wow, look at that hand going second. My God, that hand is crazy going second. Holy shit. That is just an absolutely disgusting hand going second. Okay, how do I want to play this, though, if we're going first? So the priority is to always try to get to Maker, because Maker does do a lot for the deck. And with this hand, it's a little rough. We probably have to normal summon Clip. Like, you want to normal summon Reco, because Reco can get to Mix, and then obviously you can play from there, right? But since we're going first, I want to get rid of this Gamma out of our hand, because the Gamma doesn't do anything for us. I just got to really think on how to do this, though. I normal summon Reco. I get... Fuck, okay. How do I want to do this? If we drew like Valor, I think Reco would have been a better normal summon. But like if I go into Maker and they imper Maker, I'm kind of in a screwed position as well. It's a little rough. It's a little rough. It's a little rough. Really got to think it through. Reco, get Mix. don't have the 1. I go into a 5. That's like okay, I guess. But yeah. No, I'm going to get greedy. So I'm going to get greedy. I'm going to normal summon Clip here. And then go Clip and Gamma to go into Maker. And then Maker effect to go ahead and get ourselves a Joint. I think I like Joint a lot. Let me just make sure. Synchro, that doesn't do anything because we don't get the additional normal summon anyways. I think I'm probably gonna go Killer Tune Joint. Yeah, I'm gonna add Killer Tune Joint. A little bit of a weird one there, but we can activate Killer Tune Joint. Maybe we should have just went for the trap. No, because I want the additional normal summon Reco. Get that. That doesn't necessarily do anything with that. Sorry, I'm just like really thinking how to do this. Yeah, I like this because we get the additional normal summon effect. I wanted like to tribute, get Q, but I'm like, nah, we'll be fine. We'll go Reco, get Clip. Yeah, get Clip is fine. And then we can use this effect, tribute Reco, special mix, and then mix effect, go ahead and search for... I want to search for Q. I really do want to search for Q. I don't think it's necessarily... I don't know. We can search for Q is fine. And then I'm probably overextending for absolutely no reason, to be honest with you. I just wanted to get mix and rotation, but also having Clip in hand. That's the reason why I'm doing it like this. So we're playing hard in an Nibiru, which is kind of unfortunate, but it's still fine. We'll go into a remix here using the Q, and then Q can obviously top deck our opponent, make sure he's like on a worthless card, right? So maybe I'm playing this a little bit greedy, but I wanted to make sure I had Clip in hand. That's the reason why I played it like I did. I could have gone Reco, search for mix, and just simply pass, but I honestly and search for mix and then go into remix. But I wanted to make sure I had Clip in hand, so that's the reason why I did it the way I did, so I had more ways to guarantee to synchro summon. But with that, we just simply just pass. So standby main phase. Obviously, you have a remix effect, tribute itself, summon out Reco. I guess we could have, I don't know, maybe we could have gotten Clip no matter what. But maybe I played it a little too greedy. But we'll get Reco and then, actually, we special Reco. And then special mix, and then we can synchro summon using Maker and Mix to go ahead and go into Loudness Roar. And then we go New Chain, Reco Chainlink 1, Maker Chainlink 2, Mix Chainlink 3, which is very solid. So we get a pop a monster, bounce a card, and then Reco will add a level 2. I guess we'll just get Mix for follow-up is probably fine. And then we still have this effect. We'll banish the Maker to bounce another card your opponent controls. We still have Clip to special itself, and then Synchro using these two into Seal. I'll probably put in attack because we have a lot of tuners in Grave. We'll go New Chain, Clip effect to banish a card. If Reco has a target for a spell trap, we'll do Reco effect as well. And then we go Red Seal effect, which gives us a negate as well. We'll banish the fucking worthless Gamma in our grave. And this guy is huge, right? So there's 6 tuners in our grave. So 6 times 3 is 18. So he's at 35. And we still have Ghost Bell and Ash. So he goes to 38, 41. This guy can just get ridiculously huge for no reason. And we have the follow-up in Mix. Also, Loudness Roar protects our Red Seal. We actually can put this in attack if there's a tuner in graveyard or in an opponent's graveyard to make this guy gain to 33, right? So that's kind of cool as well. So again, pretty much the same interruption piece. The deck has one way to play. It's really cool that it has multiple ways to get to the same kind of end field. Maybe, again, probably fucked up a little bit there, but it's still fine. I still got to pretty much everything anyways, plus the follow-up and Mix for next turn. So that is it for that 5-card sample hand. Now let's get into the next 5-card sample hand. Alrighty, now on to the third 5-card sample hand here. So again, we'll give the deck just a little bit of a shuffle here, and then we'll draw ourselves the 5 cards here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wow, what a terrible ass hand. But we drew the field spell, so we're fine. Oh my god, that was nearly not good. Holy fuck, this hand is not great. Not great. Not a great hand. So what we have to do is we have to go Joint Killer Tune. Thankfully, this does the combo. So we can normal summon Ghost Mourner. And let's say it's just our additional normal summon, right? So go effect, tribute Ghost Mourner, because it is a tuner, thankfully. It can special summon, right? We'll special summon Mix, and then Mix effect search for Q. Oh my god. We got there. We still got there, but my god, was that hand nearly fucking disastrous for us. So normal summon, extra normal summon the Q here. A Q effect to go ahead and special out Red Nova. And then we'll just synchro off into the Maker effect Chainlink 1, Nova Chainlink 2, Q Chainlink 3. Obviously, we'll look at the top of their deck off of Q effect. We'll summon a Reco off of Nova, and we'll get the Trap off of Maker is fine. And then new chain Reco effect, we'll go ahead and search for Clip, since we already have Mix in rotation. Get Clip there. Wow, this is a little rough, is not it? Oh, yikes. We're locked into tuners, so yeah, unfortunate. Like, we could be playing like something like Lambda in the extra deck if we wanted to, but again, we're getting locked into tuners half the time anyway, so it doesn't really matter for that. I want to get rid of this Gamma out of our hand, to be honest, because I honestly don't think this Gamma does anything. But I guess we won't. I guess we'll just do this, and this go into a remix is fine. If Dueling Book lets me. And then we'll just set one. Wow, we drew Gamma and Driver in the same hand. Oh my god, what the fuck? That hand was insane going second, though, by the way. Fucking insane, I guess. But we drew Driver, but fuck. Driver sucks. I hate, that's why the side frames sometimes suck. But with that, we'll just pass on that. So standby main, again, pretty much the same interruptions as past combos had. We have Remix effect, Tribute itself. We'll summon out Reco, special, or add Mix to hand. And then Synchro summon using a Maker and Mix here to go ahead and make ourselves the Red Seal, or not Red Seal, sorry, Roar here. And then new chain, you got Reco Chainlink 1, Mix Chainlink 2, Maker Chainlink 3, so you already got a bounce and a pop of a monster. Reco just searches for Mix is fine, just for get a little bit of a follow-up there. And then we go Roar effect, banishing the Maker to go ahead and, do Maker's effect to bounce once again. Go Clip effect using this and Reco to go ahead and get the negate out. Again, we can put this in attack because it's gaining a shit ton of attack right now. You have a Clip to banish an extra deck monster. You have Reco. If they have a spell trap to pop, you can pop a spell trap. You have Red Seal to, we'll just banish the Ghost Mourner to go ahead and negate a card your opponent controls. Or yeah, negate a card your opponent controls. And then you still have the Trap card here, which can target Mix, pop another monster, and then add Mix back to hand here. You still have Ash Blossom. Obviously, if they have a tuner, the killer tune will make this 33. This guy is absolutely huge right now. What is he? 6? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he's at 3,500 attack right now, because 6 times 8 is 18. Yep, 3,500 attack. And you have the follow-up. It kind of just sucks that we have both Gamma and Driver in our hand there. Again, pretty much the same interruption pieces there, but we had to use the field spell to get to the combo. So I'm glad we had to show that off. That field spell still technically gets to the combo. It's just, not the greatest in the universe. But yeah, that's it for that 5-card sample hand. Now let's get into the next one, shall we? Alrighty, now on to the fourth 5-card sample hand here. So we'll just, again, give the deck a little bit of a shuffle here, and then we'll draw ourselves the 5 cards. So draw 1, draw 2, draw 3, draw 4. Oh no, oh no. Oh, we drew the 1-card combo. Oh my god, that was nearly disastrous. Okay, I mean, 4 hand traps plus a 1-card charter. I mean, that's something. So we'll go standby main phase. Go Synchro Overtake here. We'll reveal the remix in the extra deck. Special out Mix effect. Go ahead and get out Q. There we go. Okay, so yeah, we'll reveal remix, special mix effect. We'll then search for Q. Then we'll normal summon Q effect to go ahead and search out for Red Nova, wherever it is. There he is. And then we'll go Synchro these off into ourselves the Maker. And then Maker Chainlink 1, Nova Chainlink 2, Q Chainlink 3. We'll look at the top deck, but obviously not in this scenario. But Red Nova will summon out Reco, and then Maker will search for Trap is fine. And then new chain Reco effect will search for Clip. Clip is fine. Yeah, I like Clip, wherever Clip is at. Clip, do we need Clip? Yeah, we do. I want to kind of like synchro off this Delta because we don't really need this Delta, but I mean, there's really nothing we can make off of it. Yeah, this is fine. We'll just do it like this. And then we'll synchro these off into the remix here. And then we'll just simply set one, and I mean, this is everything, right? And we have 3 hand traps to back it up, right? So end phase, draw, standby main phase, we can go remix effect. Tribute itself will special out remix and then add back Mix to hand is fine. Yeah, that's fine enough with us. And then we can synchro summon using this and the Mix and go ahead and make ourselves the Roar from the extra deck here. New chain will go Chainlink 1 Reco, Chainlink 2 Maker, Chainlink 3 Mix. So we pop a monster, bounce a card, and then Reco will just add ourselves another level 2. I mean, I guess we'll just get Mix is fine. And then we have ourselves Clip Effect here to go ahead and special itself to the field, and then Synchro off Reco. And we don't even need to Synchro off the Clip if we don't have to, but I will still do it. I mean, I want to Synchro off the Delta just so we get value off the Delta, but we don't have to, right? So we go into Red Seal. I'll put this in attack here. And then new chain, Clip 1. If Reco has a Spell Trap, we can go Spell Trap Pop as well. You have a Negate off this... Red Seal here to go ahead and negate a face-up card your opponent controls. We still have Roar effect. We'll banish the obviously Maker is the best, so we can bounce back a card. You have the Trap. We can target Mix in Graveyard, pop a monster, then add itself back to hand here. And then you still have Veiler. You still have Ghost Mourner, and you still have Ghost Bell. My God, what a hand that was, huh? That was an insane hand there. I mean, 1-card combo plus 4 hand traps to back it up. I mean, there's nothing else you can really do about that. So that was it for the fourth 5-card sample hand. Now let's get into our final 5-card sample hand. Alrighty, now on to the 5th and final 5-card sample hand I have to show off today. But as you can clearly see with these combos, the deck pretty much does the same thing every single time, just because, again, there's really not that many synchros it can go into anyways, so it kind of does have to do the same plays. Maybe in the future, once it gets like more tuner synchro monsters that don't require non-tuners to go in, or doesn't require non-tuners, maybe it can do more, but as of right now, this is pretty much the most it can do, right? So shuffle one more time and we'll draw ourselves the 5 cards here. 3, we drew Red Nova. That's kind of unfortunate, but we can still work with that, I guess. How do I want to do this? We can go, there's like a lot of ways we can do this. Especially since we drew Red Nova, that is a way. I mean, we could probably just keep the Killer Tune Synchro is fine, just so we can like play around Imperm and stuff like that. I don't know, this is a little bit of a rough hand. Normal summon mix effect to go ahead and search for. That sounds wrong though. We have Killer Tune Synchro. It's fine. It's fine. We'll play it like this, even though I don't think it's probably the correct way to do it. We drew Red Nova. That's why I'm not like valuing Q at all. We'll get. We don't even need Reco. I guess we just search for Q off of this then. And then we'll use the Delta and the Mix to go ahead and make ourselves Maker. And then go Maker effect to search. If they try to Imperm, we have Killer Tune Synchro to like kind of play, right? So that's fine with us. I want to search the Trap. I think the Trap is probably better for us. But I want to get Field Spell so we can keep playing. I like Field Spell more. We'll get Field Spell. Normal summon Q effect. Go ahead and summon out Reco. Do we need Reco? Huh. No, we can actually go for 2. That's 6. We can go for that. I like that a lot, actually. We can go for a Gamma here. Actually, I would summon Delta more. Summon out Delta. We can Synchro the Delta, because it can summon any tuner, and this just needs to be special by a card effect is all. So this still works, right? So we can Synchro this, Q, and then the Red Nova in hand. So that's 5, 6. Summon out Loudness Roar, which is kind of insane. In defense, please. Then go Red Nova, effect Chainlink 1, Q, Chainlink 2. We'll go ahead and special out Reco here. Reco effect, get out the Clip is probably fine. Yeah, I like Clip. No, we'll get Mix. Mix is good enough. Get Mix. And then we can just, we're playing super hard in Nibiru. I can already see that, but fuck it, why not? We're just saying, fuck it, we ball. End on the fucking remix, and we'll just pass on that. We pretty much have everything. That's actually kind of a lot of stuff here. So we pass on that. Standby main. Again, if we were playing like the Visa, if we were playing the counter trap in the main deck, we probably could have made a Visa or Armatera and get the counter trap. That's probably the way we could have played that turn. But this still ends up working, so it's still fine, right? So we can go remix effect here. Tribute itself. We'll special out Reco and then add back Mix to hand. And then we'll synchro off the Maker and the Mix. Well, I guess we'll just summon out a second one, which, no, they protect each other now, which is kind of nice. New chain will go Maker Chainlink 1, Mix Chainlink 2, Reco Chainlink 3. Reco should probably be Chainlink 1, but we just did it how we did it, so we get Clip here. And we get a pop of a monster and a pop of spell trap. Right, this is a hard one, so they're not soft ones. Yeah, okay, that's fine. We can still do loudness roar effect, banishing the maker to bounce another card. Then we still have clip effect special itself, and then synchro these two off into a red seal. And we can actually even put this in attack because we have a lot of tuners. And then, you know, if Reco has a pop, we can pop, and then Clip can banish an extra deck card. We'll banish Remix for Seal's effect to negate just a face-up card on the field. We probably should banish Delta, but it doesn't necessarily matter. We still have, like, the protection, which is kind of insane. This guy is huge, right? This has 8 tuners in the graveyard. 8 times 3 is 24. God damn, so it's 4,100 attack. That's wild. You still have Killer Tune Synchro. Again, we don't have any other like synchros we can make by technicality. So especially since this does lock us into tuners, we still have Ash. I mean, Ash is still insane, right? So that's still a lot of interruptions there. But we drew Red Nova, which was kind of unfortunate. But yeah, that is it for that 5-card sample hand. But that is going to be it for the video as well. I hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you did, leave a like and subscribe for more content on the channel. And I hope to see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.